The playwright David Ives has been compared to legendary writers such as Samuel Beckett and Harold Pinter, but he says he has more in common with Monty Python and the Three Stooges. His latest production, All in the Timing, is a series of 6 one-act plays, and it is one of the hottest tickets in New York. Audiences are out of control with laughter, and he's tickled even the toughest of critics, and we're very pleased to have him here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Your friends are even saying to you, I'm stealing. Well, it's true. I mean, what you really want to do, there's a great quote from you somewhere which you basically said about, tell me how you feel about humor and about laughter and about comedy.
Well, the Harold Pinter is well and good, is what I usually say.
But not for me all the time, or what?
Not for laughter. I admire Harold Pinter. I admire Samuel Beckett, God rest his soul, and though he wouldn't say that. And but I watch Sid Caesar, the Three Stooges, and Monty Python with envy. You know, I mean, because the jokes are so good, and so I can't impress on people enough that, yes, I am aware of Harold Pinter, but most of all, I'm trying to be funny, I guess.
Yeah. But why, because what? You think that's the best way to treat serious subjects, or?
Is there any other way to treat serious subjects in this day and age? What else can one do with them? To be serious about serious subjects is somehow redundant, I guess.
Okay, so you look for a moment of truth through the comedy.
Right, and turn things on their head a little bit, I suppose, is the idea. And
but here's the other question about you, David. I mean, why do you have 6 one-act plays? Why can't you do what everybody else does and give us 3 acts and leave us alone?
I apologize for that sincerely, but my producer does not. I guess I have a short attention span or something. I don't know what it is, but I have been writing 15-minute comedies for so long that I guess it's just bad habit or something. Yeah. I have written a number of full-length plays which have been done here and there, and some of them quite well, and some of them are pretty good, but they tended to be fairly serious stuff. And for some reason in 1985 or so, I started writing 15-minute comedies and never stopped, so it's a bad habit.
Let me just tell you what, just give me the premise for each of the 6 one-acts that are in All the Timing, because it's just hilarious. We're going to see a clip from one of them, but go ahead, just tell me the premise for each of them.
Well, Sure Thing is a man and a woman in a cafeteria. She's reading The Sound and the Fury. He wants to take her to the movies, and every time he makes a mistake in the conversation, a bell rings off stage, and they get to stop the conversation and go on from where they let off. For example, he says, "What's the book?" Trying to start conversation, as we all do. And she says, "The Sound and the Fury," and he goes, "Ah, Hemingway." Ding. "What's the book?" "The Sound and the Fury." "Ah, Faulkner." And they get to go on. And they ultimately not only get to go to the movies, but sort of pass on into eternal bliss at the end of the play, at the end of 15 minutes, which is what we all want anyway.
All right. The second?
The second is Words, 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 which is based on the old idea that 3 monkeys typing into infinity will sooner or later produce Hamlet. And the play sort of explores what the 3 monkeys would talk about while they were sitting at their typewriters, griping as writers usually do. It's sort of the old Dick Van Dyke Show with 3 monkeys instead of him, Maury Amsterdam.
Boy, television really had an influence on you.
Well, up until the time I was 15, which is when I stopped watching it. You know, I've missed all of television for the last...
You haven't seen anything since Van Dyke and Caesar.
I thought,
oh, it's good.
I turned TV on the other night to see Bilko, and it wasn't on anymore. I don't know what's wrong.
Yes, well, you're probably better off for it.
Oh, please.
All right, take a look. Here's a clip from Words, Words, and Words. All right, here it is, the 3 monkeys becoming Hamlet.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Quiet, please. I'm trying to concentrate here.
Okay. So what do you got? Me? Yeah, have you hit anything? Let's hear it. Pain, drama, fit, Engelwart, carcinoma. That's as far as I got.
I like fit.
Yeah, kind of onomatopoeic. I don't know. It feels to me like it needs something punching up. But you can always throw in a few jokes later on. You gotta get the through line first. But do you think it's Hamlet? Don't ask me. I'm just a chimp. he's typing into infinity will sooner or later produce Hamlet.
Right.
Completely by chance.
And Dr. David Rosenbaum up in that booth is going to prove it.
But what is Hamlet?
That's three. Now, just the scenarios, the Trotsky scenario.
Trotsky is Leon Trotsky sitting
an axe in his head.
He has an axe in his head, and
As
he
we
is
know, he's killed in Mexico by one of Stalin's assassins. Right.
And the play begins with him writing a speech to the proletariat with a mountain climber's axe in the back of his head, and his wife breaks the news to him that the axe is there, and it's him trying to deal with it, you know.
Yeah, with mortality and...
With mortality and what you have for supper when you have a mountain climber's axe in your head, you know.
Tell me where this idea came from.
That came from the New York Times, actually. I was reading that.
Well, that's your family, for God's sakes.
I know.
As your friends say, they've been so good to you in terms of their criticism of your work. You clearly are of the family.
And thank God for the Times. I'm glad that they laughed. You know,
But John Simon and others have said nice
John
things.
Simon and others. Surprise, surprise. But I was reading an article about Trotsky one day that mentioned that he had been hit with a mountain climber's axe and lived for 36 hours. And I was on the phone with a friend, and I said, "This is the funniest thing I've read in years. I'd better do something with this before Saturday Night Live does.
It. Yes.
Before the Comintern starts writing comedy." And so I said, "Well, what do you do with a mountain climber's axe in your head?" And so I thought I'd explore it. And then there's the universal language, which is about a young woman with a stutter who comes to a school for something called Unamunda, which is this Esperanto-like language, which the teacher is making up as he goes along, but she doesn't quite notice that. And so he teaches her a language which is supposed to unite all humankind, and and little does she know that she's making it up as she goes along. And so they fall in love, needless to say, which is what theater's all about anyway.
What?
Falling in love.
Falling in love.
I mean, that's why I go to the theater. I go to the theater to watch people fall in love. You know, why do we live?
Well, to go fall in love and to laugh.
And to laugh. If I don't laugh or see somebody fall in love, I've wasted my money.
Yeah.
Then there's Philip Glass Buys a Loaf of Bread, which is 5 minutes and 18 seconds of the complete works of Philip Glass. For those who don't have, years.
How does Philip feel about
He
this?
hasn't shown up. I don't know why.
No kidding.
I don't know why.
I don't either.
I think he said he'd be embarrassed.
Well, I can't
I'm not
imagine why.
embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed.
I wouldn't be either.
Why should he be? And so it's Philip Glass in a bakery trying to buy a loaf of bread, and suddenly we go into kind of what's going on in Philip Glass's mind, and it sounds very much like Einstein on the beach, except it's about bread. And that piece is all spoken in rhythm and is an homage to the master. Homage. Or domage, I suppose. It's a domage.
All right. Why do you, a couple of quick things. One, why it works for you, why the 15-minute as a particular period of time?
Well, I don't know. You know, certain people have certain forms. Tony Kushner works in 4-hour forms. I work in...
No, he works in 7-hour forms.
7-hour forms. We're the Laurel and Hardy of the American...
Millennium and Perestroika.
That's right. Yeah. We're the Laurel and Hardy of the American theater.
Yeah.
You know. But I don't know. It's a
you're
form
the
that
alpha
appeals.
and the omega.
We really are. And when we stand next to each other, we balance out. There's a sort of conservation of time theory. If you put one of my plays next to Perestroika...
Well, actually, you know what's interesting about the two of you is that I just had Tony at the 92nd Street Y, where I do interviews there as well. And they, I mean, about both of you, when the work came out, and Angels in America, and then some of your work, people say it's the savior of Broadway. It's the savior of the American theater. Does that say how good you are? Or does that say how bad everything else is?
That's a tough question to put to me. Let's ask my fans. I don't know. Let's ask the Times.
Is there
I think the theater has been a little dry.
a dearth, would you say?
There's been a good dearth of plays for the past few years, I think.
Rather than just sequels and revivals, no matter how good they are. I mean, Damn Yankees or whatever
yes,
it is.
of course we'd love to see Damn Yankees.
Well, are you going or not?
You know what? I rarely go to the theater. I have to confess. Let me tell America, I don't go to the theater. But please go to my play. Please.
And you write longhand.
I do write in longhand. I have to because
Why?
I think because I started writing plays when I was 9 years old, and I didn't have a typewriter to work on.
Yeah, why? I mean, I read that. Why did you start writing plays? I mean, what was it about the theater and that convinced you? I mean, I guess you saw delicate balance, and it had some huge impact on you. You decided that the theater was for you.
Actually, before I saw Delicate Balance, I saw Pinocchio at the Goodman Theater, and that was it. It was the most dramatic experience of my life. I stood and got the autograph of the Good Fairy in the lobby. And
but did you know when you were 9 that you had some talent, that this was what you would do with your life?
It certainly must have made some sort of impression. What I didn't know about the theater was that everybody who's in the play is supposed to get a copy of the script, and so I wrote it out longhand, learned my lines, gave it to the next guy, and he lost the manuscript, so it's one of the great lost plays of David Ives.
And he's no longer in the theater either, is he?
I'd like to find that guy. He's got my script. He's probably published it somewhere. Also a 15-minute play. I adapted that from a 300-page novel, when I was 9. But yes, I think seeing A Delicate Balance when I was 15, I do remember sitting in the balcony of Delicate Balance watching Hume Cronyn do the cat speech and thinking, there is nothing better than this. This is the greatest thing in the world. I felt like I was on a roller coaster. And I vividly remember it. And that was truly the day that changed my life. I had never been so excited by, I was so taken into this play.
The moment and just the feeling.
The moment, the excitement, and the feel of it, and just the emotional power. And so something about it spoke to me, and I was already writing plays by that point anyway, so by the time I got to college, I was in my middle period anyway.
I know, that's my other question
These are the late
for you.
string quartets.
Are we now in the late period?
That's right. Now I lapse into deafness and silence.
When we get to the trilogy, we'll say the early period, the middle period, and the late period.
And the late period, which started fairly early on.
Tom Stoppard was a big influence. I got less than 30 seconds, and you can't answer this in 30 seconds. Stoppard was an influence?
Yes. Another great experience was seeing Rosencrantz and Guildenstern when I was 18 or so. Or maybe it was the date I was on. I don't know, but it was a big evening for me. I can't remember now.
It was the date of seeing Rosencrantz. And Tom thinks it was a him, so who the hell cares?
It was.
Yeah, all in the timing is going to only be running for a short time.
No, it's running into infinity. It's at the Houseman Theater now, running off Broadway into infinity, as we hope.
Oh, forever.
It's an open-ended run, and we plan to outdo the, I have the Fantastics contract. We run as long as we can, approaching the Fantastics.
Which ran for 12 years or something? What?
12 centuries.
12 centuries.
It's actually a medieval play, but nobody knows that.
Was this one of Shakespeare's play? I didn't know that.
It's one of his unknown works.
David Ives, it's great to have you. Come back anytime. Really a pleasure to have you here. Anybody that brings as much joy as you do and gets the kind of reviews you do belongs on this stage.
Well,
thank you very much. We thank you for joining this evening. Thank Johnny Apple and Joe Klein and all the people here, Mitch Kapoor and Stacey Horn and others talking about internet and David Ives. See you next time.